Alright, so we got SummerSlam Night 2 in the books, SummerSlam Sunday. I went over everything that happened Night 1. You guys can check it out. It's on the channel. I have decided to change things up a little bit. I took notes. I have notes. And we're going to do that instead of me using a laptop, because I think it's better if I kind of source everything myself from my own feelings, just so there's no confusion or any thought of bias or anything, or my thoughts being influenced one way or the other. I'll be able to vouch for everything I am saying here with everything that I wrote down as the show was proceeding, which I think is a good idea long term. But there's a couple other happenings in the wrestling world. I'm not sure if you guys will be interested in this en masse, but it's worth peering into, and it's stuff that I'm interested in. So we're gonna go over some stuff, right? One of the things I wanted to do is I didn't star rate any of the matches in the last video. It was an error on my end. So we're gonna do a quick rundown, star rating the matches for WrestleMania Night 1. Reminder, this is yesterday's show. So, Jay and Roman getting the win over Breakker and Braun. I'm giving that 2 3/4 of a star. Bliss and Flair beating Raquel and Roxanne. I'm giving that 3 3/4 star. Very good one. Sammy beating Karrion Kross. I'm giving that 1 1/4 star. I'm just not a fan. I don't like when things that feel like they're supposed to be on SmackDown or Raw happen on a pay-per-view, and I don't like when they feel less than TV matches. Tiffany Stratton with the win over Jade Cargill. I give that 2 stars. Drew and Logan Paul with the win over Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. I gave that 3.5 stars. Very surprised by it. Was much better than I anticipated it could have ever been, to be honest with you. And then Punk versus Gunther, I gave that 4.5 stars. Pretty good goddamn match. It really feels like Gunther was slayed almost. It was a good thing there. And then the Rollins cash in, obviously just a highlight of WWE programming all year. That was awesome. Great moment. I coined yesterday, I said it was my favorite Money in the Bank cash in ever, the best ever. I rewatched the Heist of the Century Seth Rollins cash in. I like this one. I like the shit-eating grin, kind of everything that goes along with this. So, looking at last night's Night 1 of SummerSlam, cage match, gave it a 6.26 out of 10 last I checked. I gave it a B- myself, so our scores differentiate there. I was, I think, a little more positive on it than the general audience was. Going outside of WWE world for a second, the G1 is happening right now. The G1 is a very notable tournament that happens yearly in New Japan, and I had some matches that I saw from the A block that I saw and star rated and I think are notable and that I'd like you guys to watch if you have the chance. So the first one was Taichi versus Suji. I'm giving this a 4.5. This was great. I really liked it and really set the tone. And then in that same event, you had a main event where Tanahashi, he put over, I always struggle with, Yuya Uemura. It's funky in my head because it's spelled so radically different than it's pronounced. Not really, but kinda. And then I haven't gotten around to seeing any of the B block action yet, but just some news from it that I gathered from Cage Match. We have Konosuke Takeshita beating Drilla Maloney in a match. Good to see. I'm curious to see where Takeshita goes in the G1. And then Zack Sabre Jr., the IWGP champion, beating the Great O'Khan in what seems to be like that probably would be a pretty good match. Elsewhere in the wrestling world, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, an AEW wrestler, won the CMLL light heavyweight title. This might be setting up and alluding towards his rematch with Mystico, which would take place at AEW's Forbidden Door event this year. And so, yeah, a new belt from CMLL going to MJF. He will surely ham it up, do a very Americanized version of being a Lucha Libre champion, which is always a blast. It's always great to see. So, some other things I wanted to talk about going into the show. SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown, I really haven't been big on the Cena heel turn. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't think it's worked. And I think the Cena promo on SmackDown was the most I've ever felt this year regarding Cena. It was fantastic. It was spot on. It was a return to form that we just really needed. And kind of being away from that version of John for so, it just felt good to hear that sort of stuff again. And you would think that would make this my most anticipated match of the night, the Cena match. No, my most anticipated match going in was TLC, and we'll get to that, but I wrote that down because I wanted to mention it. And so we have Drewski kind of opening up the show with a voiceover. He was fine. I thought he did well. So getting into the actual matches here, you guys can see what a clusterfuck. This is one match. That's for one match. So we're going to get into the triple threat for the Women's World Championship. Now, there's a lot going into this match. I don't know if the build for this has been tremendous. I think the build for this has just been, hey, Rhea and Io at Evolution, they had a fucking crazy match, and it was really good. And it was. When they were doing announcing for this match, though, when they were announcing all the competitors, it seemed like all of these guys were pretty over. All of them were. And Naomi, she, as soon as that bell rang, she got right into the heel work and excelled at it. She is phenomenal when it comes to this stuff. The Naomi heel work kind of, so she's escaping out to the apron, she's cornered, she has to wrestle for a little bit, but then because she's so devious, she has the upper hand for a while, but then she doesn't, and we get some really great action between Rhea and Io that's reminiscent of their Evolution stuff, with Naomi always butting in, and it works really, really well. It sets up for some really great sequences in here. This is a really well thought out triple threat match. I have it written down here that this is an excellent use of the stipulation, and I really think it is, because you keep getting the two of the three that are getting into kind of this rhythm, kind of this dance, and then the third one is coming in and breaking it up, whether that be this, that, whatever. And so that kind of just continues and persists for a while in what is a really, really, really great match. Really excellent match, and a great opener for SummerSlam Night 2. This match ends with Rhea Ripley. She hits an avalanche riptide off the ropes to Io Sky. She goes for the pin. Naomi goes for the pin on Rhea. Subsequently, surprise roll-up, grabs the trunks a little bit. 1, 2, 3, surprise roll-up. Naomi retains. This was a damn near perfect match in my opinion. I'm giving it 4 3/4 stars. It would be a 5-star match if it weren't inconclusive, if it weren't anticlimactic. But there is a place for that, and that's why I'm still rating it very, very highly. If this had been a complete sort of picture, maybe we'll throw it the 5 stars, but everything else in this match worked out ideally, perfectly. I mean, these are 3 of your best women. I'm not going to say outright these are your 3 best, but these are 3 of your best competitors outright. I mean, it's remarkable what Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Naomi are able to do whenever they're given a solid pay-per-view platform. So then we're getting into TLC, and there's a lot to go over here. So there are 6 teams in this table, ladders, and chairs match. But before we get into the TLC match, we actually get to see the Dudleys, which makes sense that they'd be there. They're still signed to their Legends contracts with WWE, right? But then we see the Hardys, and this is really cool, because this, in the cross-promotional stuff with TNA is promoting Bound for Glory, their pay-per-view, where it's going to be one last time, the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys. And so they're promoting that. They're not even trying to say, hey, look at the Hardys, they're going to be returning to WWE. No, this was to promote a TNA pay-per-view, and I thought that was cool. And obviously, there are things to be said about that relationship, and I want to do a video about it at some point. There have been positives, there have been outright negatives, but that was really cool, and that's something that I'd like to see more if the partnership's going to continue. Please elevate TNA, and there's so many ex-WWE guys there that you can use to do it for a pop in the I'm getting off track, but do that more often. So, in this match, we have the Street Profits, DIY, the Wyatt Six, the Motor City Machine Guns. We have a tag team of Andrade and Phoenix, Ray Phoenix being, and Frazier and Axiom, who they're calling Fraxium, which I'm out of the loop on. I don't know how I missed that, but I guess they're calling him Fraxium. Man, there's a lot that happens in this match, so I'm just going to look through the list here. So, the Profits try to throw Gacy of the Wyatt Six through a ladder. They whiff on it, he rolls out of the ring, and then I think it's Montel Ford goes, grabs him from outside the ring, throws his ass back in, and they do it again, throw his ass through a ladder. This isn't the first bump Gacy takes in this match. I think Gacy ends up taking the majority of the hard bumps in this match. So quad tables are set up by Montel and Angelo. So table, and then on top of those tables, table. So that's outside the ring for a little while. They're just kind of chilling there. Andrade tries to let Phoenix climb him. Okay, so Andrade's in the middle of the ring. It's a ladder match, so the belts are up there, and Phoenix tries to get on the chest of Andrade and reach up for the belt. Brilliant, really smart, really creative to do in a match. And this follows kind of a very familiar format when there's multi-team matches, which is one team will be in control for a while, another will be in control for a while. And we see this, the Street Profits take the early lead with this. Andrade and Phoenix have their time. It just goes on, and everyone really and truly gets a time to shine in this match. Outside of the Wyatt Six, who have run-ins, but the two guys who are actually competing in this match, I don't think they have really cool moments or anything, but that's okay, because what happens in this match is it gets wild. There are 4, or are there 5? There are 4 table smashes within probably 20 seconds. This goes off the rails in the best kind of way. It's absolutely fantastic. And there are run-ins and interference that at first I'm rolling my eyes, I'm scratching my head, and they end up working out really well. So Candice LeRae comes in on behalf of Johnny Gargano and DIY, right? And she's trying to interfere in the match. She's trying to go up the ladder herself to get the belts. And I'm like, dude, come on. How many people are we going to have in this match? But she is pushed off of the ladder, whoop, off the ring, through another ladder that's set up on the floor. It's a wonderful spot, and it looks like it hurt like hell, and props to her for taking it. It was a great spot. And this is where the interference starts to get a little crazy, because now we have Eric Rowan Redbeard. He interferes on behalf of the Wyatt Six, okay, understood. He kind of gets beat to hell. He gets put through a table. Gargano, no, it wasn't Gargano, it was Tommaso Ciampa. So Tommaso Ciampa is climbing the top, and he's... Okay, so the belts are here, right? There's another ladder over there. Someone is on that ladder over there, and he has the belts in the rung here, and he sees that person is going to spear him. So he goes and he Spider-Mans the shit, and he puts his feet above the head, dangling in mid-air. The other guy misses the spear, whiffs on the spear, and he hangs there for probably another 15-20 seconds. Outstanding display of athleticism from Tommaso Ciampa there. Outstanding. One of the coolest things I've seen in a TLC match. He may have done something akin to this before. I don't remember. Did he do this in the SmackDown match? Because I popped for this. I thought that was one of the coolest goddamn things I've seen. It was great. It was great. So DIY, they're kind of having their time in the sun now. Uncle Howdy comes in, interrupts things, and he puts them through tables. Alright, so... Yeah, so basically Uncle Howdy interferes, things get a little distracted, Andrade comes in, hits a sunset flip, things look good for a little while, but eventually Uncle Howdy, the Wyatt Six, are able to clear the ring long enough to get up the ladder and get the win. I thought this was fantastic. I thought this was great. I thought this was maybe as good as the SmackDown match, maybe not as concise, but this was as entertaining at the very least. This is a 5-star match. This is going to be the first 5-star match I've handed out in the history of this channel. And it goes to the TLC between those 6 teams, those 12 individuals, and the 3 others who ran in. This was just a blast. It was a really, really fun match. But both these matches were kind of long, right? So you go into Becky versus Lyra for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. This I was excited for. This had a very good build. This match went long. But I don't think it was wrong. So the crowd to this point was tired, and I think noticeably so. But Lyra is such a fucking good babyface that even people who aren't, like, she doesn't get a big pop in the entrance to this match, right? When they're doing the announced stuff, she doesn't get a big pop, but as the match goes on, she's so able to get the crowd to warm up and to get people hotter. She is really just a pure babyface. She is fantastic at this stuff, and she takes things to another level here. She introduces a crowbar into this match. She's really out for blood with Becky, and it works to her favor. The crowd is into it. The crowd is happy to see this side of Lyra. Things go a little long here. There's a sequence in this match where Becky brings out a zip tie and, ties up Lyra, and it looks like the zip tie comes undone for a second, and Lyra's like holding it together, and she's like retying it herself. Little illusion breaking. All right, shit like that happens, but it was for a long time after that particular moment that it continued to go on, that Lyra was kind of like holding her wrist still a little bit. It was weird. It was throwing me off for a second. And there were sequences throughout this that just went on for a while. That said, there was a level of brutality in this match I wasn't expecting from it. I knew this would be a no DQ, no countout match. I wasn't expecting them to necessarily go hard with it. And they did. And they hit stiff. And I think everyone came out the better for it. But there was also, it went long because around maybe, 15 minutes into it, I don't have the time in front of me, but maybe about 15 minutes into it, this crowd was really silent, and you could hear some noises on the broadcast that it was like, wait, why is the crowd booing right now? Wait, what are they cheering for? They're cheering loud. And you remind yourself that WWE has crowd noise machines. And again, it's like, oh man, and I don't want to put that on either of the 2 performers in here, because it was a tired crowd, and there were various moments where Lyra would do something and the crowd would be engaged and into it, and obviously so. And I'm a big Lyra guy. I think she can be a future world champion and a valuable one. She's great. So Bayley gets involved in this match at the very end, and I don't think it makes her look better. I don't think it adds much to this match, to be honest with you. I don't think it's necessary. So there's a miscommunication, a miscue where Bayley accidentally hits Lyra, and then Becky gets the pin on her, 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the match. And it's like, I don't like that ending for this. I don't like, you girls were beating the hell out of each other, and then, oh, here's Bayley, and she's gonna punch you, and I think she had some wire wrapped around her wrist, something. I didn't like it. That said, the points where this worked, it really worked. I'm giving this a 3.5 star. 3.5 stars. I thought in isolation this match would probably be phenomenal, but coming off the back of the other 2, it was just a little, not a little long, but it felt long. It felt long, and the finish was not to die for. So Fatu and Sikoa, Jacob Fatu versus the United States champion Solo Sikoa in a steel cage in a contender for worst match of that. It's neck to neck with this in the Sammy Karrion Cross match. This man, okay. So Jacob Fatu is more or less whenever stuff is actually happening, he's kind of dominating throughout the course of this match. The problem is there's not stuff happening in this match, and then so much of nothing happens throughout the course of this match. So much of nothing happens, and then they just try to walk out of the cage over and over and over again, and it's boring. It's boring. It's unbearable to watch almost. It's like, this was a bathroom break match if I've ever seen one. This sucked. This was bad. And then at the very end, you're getting Bloodline who aren't Bloodline shenanigans that, you know, if you've been watching for the last couple of years, I'm tired of it. I'm a little tired of it. So this match, I'm giving 1 3/4 stars. Jacob Fatu hit a moonsault off the top, or off the cage, actually, after this match was over. And it's like, why didn't you do that when the match was happening? Why wasn't there one cool spot in this match? There wasn't one. So 1 3/4 stars. I don't think in isolation it probably wouldn't be a horrible match, but there was absolutely nothing happening. I wrote down here, Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown were shown in the crowd. I like seeing that. I really like seeing that. So we have Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the IC title next. I really liked this build. I really liked this build. I didn't ever see AJ Styles like working in a comedic role before. I've seen him being a good casual guy, a good someone to bounce off of, but him kind of bringing the comedy, not something I expected, and he's done it very well over the last couple weeks. And Eddie comes in here and he is cosplaying Eddie Guerrero. He's doing the, low rider bop bop bop, and he's wearing Eddie's old gear. There's a lot that happens throughout the course of this match. He does and everything, and I'm sure that looked great. Yeah. No, these guys both look stellar. Every move that they swapped between one another, it just looked right. Dom, did I write down what? No, Dom went over the top rope at a certain point. It looked pretty. He's really good at this stuff, and he's getting better, which is scary, man. It's scary. And Dom is gonna be at Triple Mania in a few weeks, which is insane to think about. Dom is hugely over in Mexico. He's hugely popular in Mexico. There's a chance he ends up becoming the Triple Mania, or I can't think of what it's called right now. The champion. The champion. So, yeah, I thought this match was pretty good. What happened in this match that I thought was funny was Dominic went to recreate the Eddie Guerrero chair incident spot, which, if you're not familiar, basically the ref is distracted, Dom has a chair, bang, he smacks it on the ring so it sounds like someone just got hit by a chair, throws it to AJ, and then he falls on the floor, implying that AJ just hit him with a chair. The ref's supposed to turn around and see, oh my god, and then disqualify AJ. What AJ does here is he puts the chair around his neck and he falls too, so it looks like Dom's at fault. I've seen this before. I don't know if Eddie's ever directly... I feel like I have seen this in an Eddie Guerrero match at some point in time. But I hate to be this guy, but I know I've seen this because I know I've saw it on AEW TV. I know that for a fact. And I'm 95% sure it was the match between MJF and Adam Cole. Adam Cole I'm not so sure about, but I know MJF was there. And so I've seen it before, so I didn't necessarily pop, but everyone in the crowd who maybe hasn't seen this in the last 5 years or in the last little while popped huge for this. So I'm not docking any points because of recency bias. It worked well in the confines of the match. And I really like that allegorically AJ Styles is just like, haha, I'm your daddy. Like, alright, that works. So, okay, so I'm just gonna star rate this one 3.5. This was fine. It was good, and it was short. It was short. You could catch your breath. There wasn't too much going on. Not too much at stake. You know, you don't have to really adamantly defend people with your voice in this one. Like, it's you're just this was awesome. Which brings us to the main event. Cena and Cody. And this is a confusing clusterfuck to me. This one has my mind rattled. This one has me really confused on how to feel. And we're going to need some clarification going forward. Monday night is going to be very, very interesting in terms of getting answers. So, this build was bad for a little while. I mentioned it earlier, I made an allusion to it earlier, that I thought it was saved on Friday Night SmackDown. I thought Cena brought the exact right kind of energy, but Cody having nothing to say in response in that moment felt kind of weird to me. Cody, didn't really necessarily have much to say. And then, so this match is happening. Cody, I like that with his entrance, he comes out and it's a quote from his father and about being proud. And that was just cool. It's cool to see. But then Cody immediately ruins that moment. Probably not for himself, but for me. That goddamn mask. Who the fuck? Come on, man. We made fun of Triple H when he wore that shit out to the fucking ring against Sting. And that was a decade ago at this point. You haven't learned your lesson. The mask is stupid. It looks bad. You look like a Mattel toy, and like a cheap one. You look like the bottom of a Hot Wheels. You look bad, brother. Anyways, Cena comes out to the ring too, and he comes out, it's his entrance. I'm not even gonna say it's his old entrance, or it's his entrance. It's John Cena's entrance. It's the entrance he's done for how fucking, it's perfect. It's iconic, and we're really back to face John Cena, which feels like an admission on WWE's end that they know it didn't work out. They know the heel turn sucked. And that, to me, means a lot, because I thought I was losing my goddamn mind. So, and John Cena, he's working really well as a face. The problem with this match is you just turned John Cena back face on Friday Night SmackDown, and here you are on Sunday. People are still riding that high, and throughout this match, you are doing just all the highlights. I mean, John does some stuff in this match that is unbelievable. Unbelievable that he went there, and I haven't thought John Cena capable of doing a lot of what he did in this match for a while. And he proved me wrong. He's turned back the clock a couple of years with this one. This was a magnum opus performance from John Cena. This was a 10 out of 10 performance from John Cena, and I'll say that. This match began, and before the bell even rang, Cody was sobbing. And there's two reasons that come to mind for me as to why that could be the case. One, he heard his dad's voice. His dad did the quote for his entrance, and, that might have got to him, but he did the whoa, okay, and everything. I think what happened is they announced himself and John Cena, and the crowd vehemently booed Cody Rhodes. Loud. Kind of bordering on go away. It felt like because they could, and because John Cena, everyone is just so high on John Cena right now, and so happy that they got the actual entrance back. That, oh wait, you're gonna take the belt from him? It was a vehement, F you to Cody almost. It sort of, Cody's a sensitive guy. Cody, cares a lot what people think, and we'll leave it at that. I think, you know, if that's the case, that's concerning. That's concerning. And when this match was beginning, Cody was crying, and him and Cena went in for a hug, and then it was all business, and it was okay. But that was a weird moment. And I hope everything's okay. Might have been something sentimental. It might have been. I don't know, but I hate that my first thought when it comes to Cody is that he could have been crying because people were booing him too loud. That's my first thought when it comes to Cody, and we will get answers on this, and I will be proven an asshole in the long run, but this is off the cuff. So there's a lot that happens in this match. Cody endures a lot in this match. Cena takes the ring apron steps and throws them outside of the ring to Cody, who's on the floor, and Cody just eats it. I wrote down every time that there was an attitude adjustment in this match. I think there's at least 7. And there's, I think, 2 avalanche attitude adjustments, which are off the top rope. Holy shit. So what happens throughout the course of this match? I'm getting a little off track. Cena just kind of plays all the hits, man. 5-knuckle shuffle, boom. The whole sequence that goes with that, and the crowd is just so into it, and anything Cody does, it's just not met the same way. And Cody is taking advantage of the stipulation. This is a street fight, I haven't mentioned that. And Cody is kind of doing things that border on heel things. He's taking advantage of the stipulation in a way that he would have questioned before. He would have been softened about it before. And not this Cody. And the crowd so vehemently booing him over it gives this impression that what he's doing is wrong. And so tonally, this match is a weird one, man. It's a weird one. It's fascinating. But every single moment, sequence-wise in this match, was really well done. It was really good. It, makes you scratch your head and wonder why the hell they couldn't do this at WrestleMania 40, why that match had to stink so bad. But this, really and truly, this was the best John Cena match in the last 5 years. Far and away. And there's a lot that happens in this match. There's a goofy moment where they go under the entrance area and they come back out, and it's through Cody's entrance elevator, and John just has Cody up for an attitude adjustment, and the whole time he's just like slowly rising, and he's just... And it's goofy as hell, and I hope it gets memed out because it was fantastic. So it gets crazy here for a while. So the finish, more or less, they get inside the ring. I'm just gonna read the notes here. Cena goes through a table, gets hit by a crossroads, 1, 2, kick out. Cody grabs the turnbuckle itself, keeps nailing Cena with it. I think he nails Cena with it 3 times. Hits Cena with 3 consecutive crossroads, which, if you'll remember, is what he used to take out Roman Reigns. Cena kicks out. Super Cena chants erupt around the place. Cena gets attitude adjustment, avalanche attitude adjustment. Cody kicks out. Okay, wow. We're really main eventing this. Again, it's a distortion of reality. It doesn't work in context because you're telling me that Cena all he did at WrestleMania this year was he boop Cody with the belt, and Cody was knocked the fuck out, and Cody just survived 2 attitude adjustments and then avalanche attitude adjustment back to back, kicked out. But at the same time, this was a much different match, and they knew that, and they knew they had to bring it with this one. So Cody hits a cutter that Michael Cole called it a cutter, but that's not what it was because it didn't look like that. It looked weird and bad and strange, but sends Cena through a table, and Cody, he does a salute to John Cena. He hits a few more finishing moves, and that's it. And Cody wins. Cody, who it seemed like might be turning heel in this match. Cody, who has taken the majority of the really tough stuff in this match. Cena was in control a large portion of this, and the crowd goes silent. Didn't know what to do. Wow. Oh man, I don't know how to feel about it. I think that there should have been more anticipation that Cody could have been booed as vehemently as he was, and that this wouldn't have been a 50-50 let's go Cena, let's go Cody. Like, John Cena is so uber popular that you have him back, and you've deprived people of this version of him for so long that they're getting him back, and here's this guy who's gonna beat him. And yeah, you like this guy, but he's not John Cena. You haven't known this guy for the last 20 years. It's just a different thing. And I would have anticipated for a little bit better if I were them. That said, the match in and of itself was goddamn phenomenal. It felt main event. It felt, this could have replaced any main event WrestleMania the last couple of years, and it would have made sense. This was worthwhile. This was really, really something special. This was great. I'm giving it 4 stars because I am confused about it. I am confused that, a lot of it felt wrong. A lot of it felt weird. Tonally, something was askew with how this match wound up going. And how people in the crowd ended up reacting to it, which is a factor in my star ratings because the audience are characters in this story as much as anyone else is how I look at it. So Cody and John, they share a moment for a little bit. John's in the ring by himself. You get a thank you Cena chant. And then something fucking crazy happens. Brock Lesnar comes back. Okay. A lot of people have been wondering who will John Cena's final opponent be. I'm not sure if it'll be Brock Lesnar. We still got plenty of time. But I'm happy to know that Brock Lesnar will be one of those names on the list. And this is all setting up for a, really interesting era kind of going forward. Cody sort of crowned as the quarterback and the guy that they're going to ride with for the next however many years. You're starting to see more clearly how Cena's exit is going to work. And I think a lot of things have been set up very well here. A lot of things weren't. So I think Dom getting the win he got, very important, very good. I want to see... The guys in WWE don't often get a lot of wins under their belt as champion, and I'd like to see that remedied. I'm happy that Dom, as Intercontinental Champion, got a win over someone as prominent as AJ Styles. I think that's great. I think it's really something great to see. The Fatu Sikoa match was bad. I hope that that's the end of that. Lyra Valkyria, there's so much they can do with her. There's so much they can... This really set things up really well. And what I really liked about this is this felt like a coming out party for the type of booking that Triple H always wanted to do. This was, start to finish, a more hardcore oriented show than we've seen in a while. And obviously, WWE, there's levels to that. They're not going to push it as hard as other people might, but there was a level of violence that bled in from, pun intended, last night's main event into this show, and carnage and mayhem, and that is really what people were expecting and anticipating with Triple H's booking a long time ago, and we're finally seeing that reward be reaped. We're finally seeing them sort of tap into that. I was really worried that they were going to call this a street fight, the main event between John And Cody, I was worried that they were going to call it a street fight, but it might not live up to that level. Especially, you look at what competitors have done with the street fight stipulation in recent years. Wow, they have upped the ante. And, I don't think Cena and Cody are at that next level of, gratuity and violence in a street fight, but I thought what they pulled off here was really well and really did resemble a proper street fight. And I think overall, the identity and direction that this show presents is an optimistic one. It's one that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of. I really like what they did with this show. I prefer Night 2 over Night 1, but I think Night 1 has its gems, has its moments, it has a great main event, has a great cash-in. And then tonight was great. I gave Night 1 a B-, and I'm going to give Night 2 an A-. There were lulls, there were moments that were too long, but there was only one bad match on the card. Honest to goodness. So yeah, this ended up being just a blast for me. I really enjoyed this show. So yeah, I will see you guys Monday, and then Wednesday for Dynamite, and then Friday for SmackDown, and then everything else in between. Keep it locked in here, and yeah, stay watching wrestling.